Today, the gold standard of sports betting shows where we talk the talk and walk the walk. Loaded college hoops and NBA card tonight. Big time matchups. Dan, we say talk the talk and walk the walk. Not going to lie. Talking and walking, not two things I've done a lot of the last couple of days.
Look at you.
Let's go. I actually had to adjust the light, put a tint on it so you can't see how sickly white I am. But we're feeling good. We got a lot of bets today.
Andy, you look great. You sound great. The folks are happy you're back. The show was just off the rails before it even started without you at the helm, Andy. So we're happy to have you back here. And on a Tuesday edition, a $5 Tuesday edition, that's right. We got Bryan Power. He's going to come on here, kick us off, talk a little Kentucky and Texas A&M, a little BYU and Cincinnati. We got that coming our way from Bryan Power. We'll also hear how the things are going over with the morning wager crew. Has he strangled Mark Zinno or vice versa? We'll find that out. We'll check the neck of one Bryan Power. Jesse Schule is going to come on as well. What's he doing, folks? You know what he's doing. Who are we fading in college basketball? Maybe NBA action. Jesse's going to let you know. And he's going to talk the matchup that I don't think anybody wants to talk. Spurs, Sixers. That's right. We're forcing Jesse Schule to break it down as the Spurs are climbing up as 8.5-point and higher favorites. Ralph Michaels will shut things down for us. He's got George Mason taking on VCU. He's got Clemson in North Carolina. He's got trends to help you bet some of these conference tournaments. So, Andy, plenty of action here. College basketball heavy because Selection Sunday, less than 2 weeks away, man. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, let's just get things started here with Bryan Power. We got WTF LFG coming up. We got a few free plays in all around the world. Bryan, you do a lot of kind of traveling and bouncing around, seeing these games around this time of year.
Yeah.
What?
Is Dan wearing a Cleveland shirt?
No, it's Cleveland colors. It's Cleveland colors. I did that for you.
Oh, I'm saying it was bothering me this whole time. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, there we go. You come on here with the Dallas Cowboy mug sometimes, and I don't say anything about it, BP. So
I'm sorry,
you don't talk about my wardrobe, good sir. Don't make me pull up the lumberjack photo. Don't make me do it.
I'm not classically trained as a broadcaster. I just say the first thing that comes to my mind. But I do travel, Andy. As a matter of fact, was at the first game of March Madness. The official tip-off of March Madness last night was here in Cleveland, as a matter of fact, as Cleveland State hosted IU Indy in the play-in game in the Horizon League tournament, the game that very few cared about, very few were in attendance, but it was dollar beers, thanks to head coach Rob Summers. Took advantage of that, and Cleveland State got a win. And thanks to everyone who watched my video. That was, like, I think my most viral tweet I've ever had. So it was fun.
A viral tweet?
Yeah, a lot of people like. I've never had as many people like or just look at a video that I've tweeted ever. So
really,
it's very uninteresting. It's an empty arena. Me saying it's dollar beer night, and people really enjoyed that. So what have we learned? Americans love empty arenas and win cheap beers for $1.
Oh man. Oh boy. Mark asks, Andy, you're on Twitter, right? I found myself in a situation I would like some advice on. All right, if this involves crypto, I can't help you. You have to ask Yanni about that. If you liked a few things that your employer would not be happy with, I cannot help you with those types of things. But if you got anything else, yes, I am on Twitter, Andy Lang Bets. You shoot me a DM. So, Bryan, we got a few games here that we want to go over here with you. Kentucky, Texas A&M BYU. Cincinnati. I guess what's the mindset going into this time of year before we get to these games? Throw everything out the window from the regular season and such, or
I know
not anymore.
Well documented.
It's been days,
weeks,
hours.
What's your mindset going in here? Throw everything out the window or just business as usual?
I don't know, somewhere in between. Probably the right answer, I guess. I know that's not a very exciting answer, but it is the answer. I mean, I still handicap these games. Look, February, truth be told, was great until the last couple days, and then yesterday wasn't so good either. But I'm looking at games. I mean, I tweeted about this. My process has actually largely stayed the same, Andy. I'm looking to buy low and sell high on teams. I would say if there's anything unique to this time of year, bubble teams can often be overvalued. The whole must win doesn't mean will win, guys. And if a team was that good it probably wouldn't be in a position where it, quote, must win anyway. So be careful about that. I guess that's just some general advice I can offer. There's also some situations that are unique. A lot of these are kind of now over with, but these lesser conferences, we were talking about lesser conferences off air. I know Ralph's going to have some great trends on that stuff coming up. But teams that have already clinched their conference, the regular season title, that top seed in these they're kind of good fades this time of year. Teams, I think, playing their last home games of the year, Andy and Dan, are often good teams to back. And I just so happens we got a couple of those that we're going to break down here today.
Well, let's go over a couple of these games here. We'll start with Kentucky versus Texas A&M. Looks like we got Texas A&M ever so slight favorite, pretty close to a pick 'em over under 161.5. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, from the hard to believe category, once upon a time, Texas A&M was in first place in the SEC, guys, and not Florida. I know saying that, it just sounds unfathomable right now, but it was the case. I swear to God it was. But quick check of the standings here on Tuesday, March 3rd. You're going to see A&M's now 5 games back of Florida. Things have gone south in College Station. The Aggies have lost 6 of their last 8 games overall. They're now in 7th place in the SEC, so quite the precipitous drop there. Tough loss over the weekend to rival Texas. A&M just shot 38.3% in that game. And down the stretch went ice cold, full 5 minutes without making a basket. That was the difference in a 76-70 loss as 2.5-point favorites. Meanwhile, Kentucky, they looked good, dare I say even great over the weekend. Unranked, they closed as a slight favorite at home against a top 25 opponent in Vanderbilt. Those are always situations we pay attention to. Wildcats, they shot almost 60% from the field against Vandy, 11 of 22 from 3. They win 91-77. UK's been hot, guys. I don't need to tell all our viewers that. 7-1 against the number, their last 8 games. But guess what I'm going to do here? Buy low, sell high. I don't see Kentucky shooting the ball nearly as well tonight. Why? Well, they're facing an A&M team, that is number 1 in 3-point defense in the entire SEC. Conference opponents, guys, have shot just 30%, just a hair over 30%, I should say, from behind the arc against the Aggies this season. And this is the final home game of the season in College Station. I know senior night was over the weekend, but it still should be a nice atmosphere. One last game in front of the fans. I think A&M wins here. I still don't trust this Kentucky team with Mark Pope as the head coach. A lot of inconsistency across college basketball, Dan and Andy. And when a team looks much better than you expect one game, guess what? I think they come crashing back down to earth next time.
All right, we move to BYU versus Cincinnati. While we're doing that, Brian, $5 Tuesday. What do you have up at WagerTalk?
Well, would you know, a $5 best bet, Andy? That's the way I follow instructions. Well, and look, we really love this play tonight. Guys, I came on. I always own it. We had a great February. For a while, we were number 1 in hoops, NBA and college combined. Last 3 days have not been good, but guess what? It's only $5 to bounce back, to get on board as we bounce back tonight. It's the best bet is in college basketball. $5 Tuesday has treated us well in the past. Just last week, guys, you may remember, I was on the show, talked about my total. It was under Miami, Eastern Michigan. That one pretty easily. So this one's a side, and we're looking to get back on the horse, so to speak, tonight. So, yeah, there you go. $5, WT.buzz/BP.
All right, BYU, Cincinnati. Break down these 2 games. Tell us what you think.
Well, our initial breakdown here, we talked about Kentucky and A&M. I referenced unranked Kentucky was favored over the weekend, Saturday at home, beat top 25 opponent in Vanderbilt. We were pretty close to having that same situation show up here in the Big 12, but BYU has actually now dropped out of the top 25. First time all season they've been unranked because they've suffered back-to-back outright losses as a favorite to UCF and West Virginia. Cougars have now dropped 3 of 4 overall, guys, since losing Richie Saunders to a season-ending injury. Of course, they still have the nation's leading scorer in A.J. DeBonsta. But now they're slight underdogs to a Cincinnati team that has been playing well as of late. Very well, in fact. 5 wins in the last 6 games for the Bearcats. Only loss in that stretch was to Texas Tech. They won at Kansas, Cincinnati did. That was quite the surprise 2 Saturdays ago. Now, this past Saturday, what did Cincinnati do? Well, they put up 91 points in a much better than normal offensive effort against Oklahoma State. Ended up easily covering the 9.5-point spread there. I'm a little hesitant. I stress the word a little, or 2 words a little, to back the Bearcats off that kind of offensive effort here because truth be told, you look at the season as a whole, This has not been a great offensive team, Cincinnati, but final home game of the regular season, the offense, you look recently, it's been much, much more consistent. And BYU, second straight road game out east. Cincinnati, even if there is offensive regression, we can lean on this. 13th in KenPom when it comes to adjusted defensive efficiency. I still think they could win this game. So give me Cincy. We'll make it 2 for 2 with short home favorites here on the program.
You heard it. Bryan Power says, parlay them together. No, he didn't say that.
I didn't say that, Andy.
Words in my mouth. A little water to wash down your chalk that we're eating here today on the show. Here,
very rare for me, Dan.
I know.
Yes,
I know. That's what's crazy. This is not what I've been accustomed to. I was already writing in the timestamps. Brian gives out a dog. I had to feverishly backspace there.
Yeah.
So.
You never know what you're going to get.
I like it. Never let them know your next move, BP. No, never let them know.
Yeah, keep them guessing. When they think they have the answer, we change the question.
Yeah, so chalky, -1.5 and -2.5. So
exactly. Two slight
favorites. Yeah. By the way, Andy, before I should shout this out because I'm sure there's so many people out there on the internet that care. I mentioned I was at Cleveland State last night for the start of March Madness. My next public appearance, my official public appearance, will be this Friday as I return to the alma mater. First time in a long time we make the trip down to Athens, Ohio. I will be there with several Ohio University grads, one of which is my wife. And we're talking OU against possibly a perfect Miami of Ohio team that will be looking to go finish the regular season 31-0. So A-Town should be rocking, and I will be in the house. Even Adam Trigger is the insane person he is. May make the trip from upstate New York down to Southern Ohio, because why wouldn't he do that? So stay tuned to social media, please.
Have you ever been recognized at any of these games?
Yes, at the Guardians game, I was. Yes, it was the first time it happened. It's actually been 2-3 times now, believe it or not, that I've been recognized. The first time, I'll be honest, I was a little embarrassed. I was taken aback, humbled.
Wait, why would you be embarrassed?
Why?
They love you.
I don't know.
Unless he was like, "Yo, you suck, Bryan Power."
No, they didn't say that.
And be like, "What is Joe Ranieri doing here?"
Yeah, as a matter of fact, no, Joe was nowhere in sight. That's when the apocalypse strikes, when Joe and I are in the same place. It actually did happen though once, but no, they. As a matter of fact, they said we love the morning wager, is what they said.
See?
That reminds me, before I leave and give Jesse the floor, I will point out every Monday through Friday, guys, you can check out the morning wager over on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. Mark Zinno and I, bit of a truncated episode today. Mark had some things to do, so we had to go a little short. But again, lots of laughs, 3 free picks every Monday through Friday, Mark and I. So check that out. Thank you very much for your support.
Love it, BP.
Awesome stuff. Awesome, Brian. Thanks very much. Shout out to everybody in the chat. A couple questions about golf. We'll be recording the golf show directly after this, Jason. So This course is set up for favorites. It's a very, very tough course, thick rough. The tee to green ball strikers, it's a paradise for them. It's hard. This is a brutal tournament. It can sometimes play almost like a major. And then somebody asked about TGL tonight. Bay Club is -170 against Jupiter, and you're not betting. You're not betting on Jupiter. I was thinking there could be so Dan, Jupiter is Tiger Woods' team, except he's obviously not playing. And this is an elimination to make the playoffs. Whoever wins is in. And I was thinking, well, if somebody's already in the playoffs and they're playing Tiger Woods' team, they could throw this game to get the Tiger Woods team in. Unfortunately, we don't have that because Tiger Woods' team sucks. They're really not good. They have the worst player in the league in there. So I would have to lean Bay Club, but at -150, -170, no way I'm playing -170 on TGL. So I'll be watching it and probably live betting it. The hole by holes are the way to do it, but can't lay -170 in TGL. So, all right, we got WTF LFG. Dan, we're going right back to lacrosse, and this is a client play. We are playing this with our own money. Who do you like?
Yeah, Andy, going to give the WTF LFG, and then I also want to circle back to you, ask you if you ever get recognized, if you have any stories of that. But first, let's give the folks a lacrosse play here. And Andy, as you mentioned, this is one that we gave out to the clients this morning, and I'm sorry to our friend here in the chat, Lino G. He doesn't like it when there's Massachusetts plays. Well, buddy, we're playing UMass
sorry.
Lowell against UMass. So this is maybe because it becomes a double negative. There's 2 Massachusetts teams playing. He should be allowed to bet it. But guys, this one is just a case of this spread is way too wide. You're seeing 10.5 goals is what UMass is being asked to lay against their foe, UMass Lowell. We're taking that 10.5. Guys, grab this now. This game goes at 3 p.m. Eastern. This will close probably under 10. This will probably close closer to 9.5. Yeah, UMass is off to a really good start, Andy. Don't get me wrong, 5-1, but this team hasn't won by margin yet. Their longest game, or their biggest margin of victory came in a game that was moved locations, changed dates, and was played indoor with no spectators. And it took all of those factors for UMass to finally win a game by 9. And this is a game that UMass Lowell always has circled because obviously in-state rivalry, little sister kind of school. They look to at least hang with UMass. And year after year, Andy, in 8 tries, they haven't beaten UMass yet, but they've never lost by more than 10 goals. Last year, it was actually a 1-goal game, and it took some late heroics for UMass to come back and win. A lot of those players that were on that roster last year are back. So it's that simple, Andy. Take the points. If you're crazy, sprinkle the money line. Oh, wait, they're not offering a money line in this game. That's how much of a blowout they think it's going to be, Andy. I don't see it. Take the 10.5 UMass Lowell. They don't even want the action on this money line because I think a 10.5 dog might be barking here, Andy. Take the 10.5 UMass Lowell against UMass.
Well, hold on here. What? Not offering DraftKings.
I didn't see a money line, at least on the blue book.
Okay, so DraftKings has. I mean, this is as skewed as it gets. Minus 10,000 on UMass, and they're only giving you 22-1 on the flip side. That's terrible. That's terrible.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, Andy.
Awful.
So,
awful.
WTF LFG. Well, Andy said, hey, I'm giving this to clients, so I know he gets the stamp of approval on the LFG. Comment below and let us know. Let's make it 3 straight lacrosse winners here for you, Andy. In case folks are wondering, after winning that Syracuse pick, we won on Thursday as well. We're now 29-20 on the WTF LFG plays. So, we're nearing the 50th play, Andy. Nearing rapidly. 50th play.
This is awesome. Have I been recognized? Yes. I actually got recognized more with my previous shows before I came to Wager Talk. I did.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I was on camera / produced a show for Comcast about playing carnival games and like games at Dave & Buster's. So Comcast paid me.
That's so Andy Lang.
Yeah. So I got paid to go learn how to play these games and win all these prizes. I have a closet full of stuff. I have my Dave & Buster's card that I haven't redeemed yet, and I have like over 250,000 points. And so I have this. I haven't done that show in about 6 or 7 years, but I have this weird muscle memory. There's 2 games where I can walk into Dave & Buster's and just win nonstop.
That's such a badass party trick, dude.
It's pretty funny.
That's pretty
funny. So
that's pretty awesome.
That when that genre was big on YouTube, I would get recognized whenever because it's a tight knit community. If you're in Dave & Buster's, you watch those channels. So they knew me. They knew me quite a bit. Me and my buddy that did the show, we got recognized all the time there. I've been recognized twice since doing Wager Talk, and very fun. What's crazy about Wager Talk? I've become friends with a lot of people just being known.
Likewise.
Yeah. So, but yeah, as far as just being recognized, only twice then. But yeah, way back in the day, yes, I got recognized all the time. And the first time I got recognized, while my wife was with me, she was just like, WTF.
Yeah, but you feel kind of cool. You feel kind of cool. You're like, yeah, I'm known around these parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but it is funny to be able to walk into Dave & Buster's and just win jackpot after jackpot after jackpot if I really wanted to. So, pretty funny. So,
company party at Dave & Buster's. That's where the next meet and greet will be. That now we know.
I'll set some records. I'll set some records. So, all right, let's bring in Jesse. Jesse, happy Tuesday. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Andy. Unfortunately, we were 1-2 on the show last week. And the guys in the chat were having some really nasty things to say about me after going 13-0. A 1-2 performance was not received well.
Well, we put the ultimate mush on you, Jesse. I firmly believe that was not your fault. Like, not.
No, you can't blame Jesse. Once we whipped out the absolute wagon graphic.
It's never my fault. It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah, that's how you do it, is blame somebody else. So I want to knock out this let's get this 76ers game out of the way. I know you're going to shorten this up because we got some issues with the rosters and such. So just touch on that one a little bit, and then we'll get to your fades and so on. So anything you can make of this game?
I mean, I can't really reinvent the wheel here. Last I looked, San Antonio was an 8-point favorite. I see money's still coming in on the Spurs. Of course, no Embiid for the Sixers. The Sixers 21-12 with Embiid, 12-15 without him. And then San Antonio is coming off that ugly loss to the Knicks, 114-89. So a bit of a bounce back spot for the Spurs. They're 5-1 coming out of the All-Star break. And I don't know how many people remember I came on this show during the All-Star break and said I like the Spurs to win the Western Conference. They're still 3 games back of Oklahoma City, but winning 5 of 6 coming out of the break is exactly what I was looking for. And of course, when I say win the Western Conference, we're talking about in the postseason heading into the NBA Finals, making the NBA Finals. They got a home game against the Detroit Pistons on deck. So if there's any reason to shy away from the Spurs as a big favorite here, maybe a look ahead spot. But I mean, they got a couple days between games. I'm not really worried about that. I don't really feel like laying the points. So I'm going to take a look at the total. The Spurs have gone under in 8 of their last 9 versus Eastern Conference teams. They only scored 89 points in their last game. The under is 3-1 in their last 4 overall. And this total is higher than it was in any of those 4 games. At this time of the year, a team that's contending to make the NBA Finals usually plays pretty strong defense. I know the Sixers don't, and they like to play fast, but I think this total of 234.5 might be a wee too high. So I would lean under on this one.
All right, let's go to some games that you're feeling a little bit better about. We got multiple fades here tonight. We got one in the NBA. We got a couple in college basketball. So floor is yours. We'll start with the NBA team you're fading tonight, and then just go ahead with your college teams we're fading.
All right. Well, for those who will remember, last week on this show, I picked Toronto as a slight dog against Oklahoma City. It was a perfect spot. It was a first leg of a back-to-back for the Thunder, and they had an upcoming game the following night against the Detroit Pistons, and we lost that one. And should I second-guess myself? Should I try to do things differently, or should I just say, hey, I had the right side, and it didn't work out? It's going to be the latter this time. The Knicks come into Toronto as a 2.5-point favorite. Total sits at 222. Of course, the Knickerbockers 40-22 straight up, 32-29-1 against the spread, but just 15-14 on the road. They are coming off that huge win over the Spurs, holding the Spurs to just 89 points. And who's on deck for the Knickerbockers? A home game against Oklahoma City tomorrow. I mean, this game belongs on Marco's Deli because this is the ultimate sandwich spot for the Knicks. By the way, the Knicks have owned Toronto. They're 10-0 straight up in the last 10 head-to-head meetings. The Raptors, if they're ever going to get up for a game, they should get up for this one. Of course, you've got the OG Anunoby trade sending RJ Barrett to Toronto. So there is some rivalry action there with teams coming over from each other's teams, players coming over from each team. Toronto was the team that I picked to do well coming out of the All-Star break, one of my teams to bet on. They won 3 of 5 coming out of the break. The losses to Oklahoma City and San Antonio, tough to fault them for losing to the 2 best teams in the NBA. I know this didn't work out last week. I'm not going to second guess myself. This is a terrible spot for the Knickerbockers. We're going to take Toronto plus 2.5 as a home dog. And I know a lot of people in the chat probably won't like it. And that's just fine with me.
What college basketball teams are you looking at fading?
Well, a couple weeks ago, I was looking, I think it was Nebraska and Michigan State. And I told you I was going to fade both of them. We did that, and it worked out quite well. Today, we're looking at Nebraska at UCLA. And we're going to fade both of those teams here in this game, Andy. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're looking at the total. Total, it sits at 143.5. And Nebraska, they're coming off an 82-67 win at USC. This Nebraska team, I know a lot of people don't believe in them, but they're 25-4. They're 7-2 on the road. One of those road losses was a 75-72 loss at Michigan. Nebraska, I think, is the real deal. They rank second in the Big Ten in scoring defense. They're allowing just 65.4 points per game. They play also at a slow pace. So you got a very strong defensive team that plays at a slow pace. They rank 248th nationally, averaging 69.3 possessions per game. And UCLA, man, they're 16-1 at home. They are coming off a 78-73 loss at Minnesota. But UCLA, when we talk about teams that play at a slow pace, they rank 289th nationally, averaging just 68.4 possessions per game. And when you get two teams together that play at a slow pace, both averaging under 70 possessions per game, you often see very, very low scores. In fact, the last time these two teams played, and Nebraska was a different team back then, but Nebraska won 66-58 at home last January. I think we'll see a similar score here. I very much doubt that either one of these teams is going to score 70 points in this game. We're going to go under 143.5.
All right. Fade the Nebraska and the UCLA. Jesse, do you ever get recognized?
Bit of a story, but it was a Saturday, the day before Sunday, week 1 of the NFL in 2018. I'm sitting in the airport in Bangkok, flying out with my family to go on vacation to Vietnam. And there's some really big gangster-looking individuals with shaved heads, tattoos on their shaved heads and tattoos on their necks. And they're being really loud. And they're talking about betting the NFL in the following day. And one of my friends thought it would be a good idea to point out what I do for a living. So these guys come over to me and they're asking me all this stuff. And I'm on my laptop trying to get my plays loaded for the following day, kind of telling them I don't really have time to talk to you guys. They were a little bit pushy about it, so I agreed to give them my social media. The guy goes to my Facebook page, and he's like, I'm trying to click like on the page, but there's no like button. And he says, can you help me? He hands me his phone. I say, I'll tell you what, we'll send a message. Just send me a DM. And I go to send a DM from his phone on his account, and that opens up a long history of DMs. This guy's been talking to me for like 5 years on social media. So I just showed him, I said, we're already connected. And he was a little embarrassed by that. And to show his dominance, he ended up signing up for a year pass and paying me $1,500 cash in the airport. So he really showed me who was boss. Let me tell you. Anybody who wants to show me who's boss, I'm game for all that.
Wow, that's wild, man. Wow,
you like that story?
That's a good one. That's a real good one. So, was it good messages or bad messages he had been sending you?
Typical. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. You know, what do you got today? Who you like today? Basically, just hounding me for free picks, I guess.
How it always goes.
What do you have up on $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk, Jesse?
I do have a $5 college basketball play. I'm looking at a hockey play that I'm going to be putting out in the next hour for tomorrow's slate. I've cashed 8 of my last 9 hockey plays, and I've cashed 11 of my last 15 college basketball plays. I know we had a little bit of a hiccup on last week's show, and I know that 14-2 is not quite as perfect as 13-0, but please trust me. Stick with me. We'll be okay.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will be okay. Thank you very much, Jesse Schule, everybody. Dan, have you been recognized?
And you know what the worst is whenever you're like talking to someone, you like tell them, you know, what you do, or, oh yeah, you know, I help run a YouTube channel here, you know, for sports betting. And then the next question is always like, oh yeah, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Like that, you know, like it's the worst. But yeah, Andy, real quick, and then we'll do all around the world. The only time really, and I, do like local radio stuff like that. So like in the community, yeah. Oh, are you the guy from WEU? Blah blah blah. But when I was out in the wild, we were at a packed bar. It's like Xfinity Live down in Philly, where like if you can't get into the game, that's where you go to the game. My buddy was having, and a group of like probably 15 to 20 frat bros. The collar, the backwards hat. They all came up and they were like, "I'm sorry, man. Are you Newbie Talks?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" It was like, "Dude, you are a legend at Psych High, man. We won so many picks off of your lacrosse bets. We won so much money. Like, can we take a picture with you, man?" And I was just like, "Yeah, sure." So then it was like me and a group of these like 20 drunk frat bros who were just like, "Dude, you're lacrosse picks, man. You're lacrosse." So that was my claim to fame. And then everyone who we were with was like, "What the just happened?" I was like,
what year was this?
This was it was before I moved out west, so it would have been
that was a while ago.
2022. By the Eagles season of 2022. Yeah.
Amazing.
That was back when, Andy, like the lines were really bad. Like we have to grind now. Remember, it was like we were printing money there for a little bit. It's no longer
the wrong team favored at like -6.5. That should be switched. Yeah.
Those were the days, man.
Those were the days. Yes. We got a 4% NBA best bet for $5 Tuesday. Nice. One of the nice. I remember when I had COVID. I've never had so much efficiency with my work because I was just locked in my office and I couldn't really sleep. And so yeah, sometimes when you can't sleep because you're sick, you have a lot of downtime to work. So I love the NBA 4% best bet that is up. We got a lot of games, but I don't think there's a lot of spots to cash in on. But I've isolated a couple, and the one that goes off tonight we love. We're 40-26. In our last 66 4% plays. That goes back to real early January. So the 4% best bets of good when we step out for a 4% play. Been working well. So only $5. We sat out of everything yesterday, feeling good about today's best bet. So let's bring on Ralph, and then we'll do today's free plays. Ralph and his good friend the pen. Whoa, that was the point.
Ralph, you're muted, my friend. But you look good, and the pen looks even better.
Isn't the person that's running the board supposed to turn on my microphone instead of me? Now I got to do Dan's job. He hosts one day and he forgets how to do his real job. I don't know what that's.
It's true.
But
it's true.
Before we get to my games, I do have to bring up something. Dan, are you at all concerned that the Riverhawks have only played 3 games this year because their game Tuesday against Holy Cross got postponed, playing a Massachusetts team that has 6 games under their belt? That's a big deficit. Or is it rust versus rest here? Obviously, you do like the rest.
The fact that you have the Teddy covers photo is next level. Ralph, you have been coming proper, and we know you are a lacrosse expert. For me, it was, I don't care if there was 1 million games played. I don't care if there was 1 game played. There's 1 game every single season that UMass Lowell puts all caution to the wind, and that's when they play Big Brother UMass. So 10.5 is just a crazy spread against a team that they had never beaten by that kind of margin. So they could have 1,000 games under belt, Ralph. We'd still be taking the Riverhawks there. I love the Teddy covers photo. That will come in use. Keep that handy, Ralph.
It is a fun segment. I'm glad we started it. So, and I do want to mention, Jesse's streaks happen in an incredible streak, but now we are 4-0 on the show the last couple of weeks. And remember last week, the barking dog came up, and I had a couple people reach out on X. We talked about Kentucky under first half and live betting the second half. Both of those hit. So really 3-0 on last week's show and 5-0 the last 2 weeks.
Well, don't worry, Ralph. We won't do the smoking wagon graphic for you. We'll keep it the dog if we're liking any dogs. But let's start breaking down some of these games. And then Ralph also has some tips and some trends and things just regarding how to really bet this time of year in college basketball as well. But let's start off with some specific games. We were talking that lacrosse game with a 10.5 point spread. We're seeing one on the hardwood where VCU is laying the number here against the George Mason Patriots. Ralph, the floor is yours, man. How are we looking to bet this one?
I always like to break down the season to date stats to see if we think the line is correct. George Mason, a nice season. They're at George Mason coming in at 22-7, same record as VCU. Strength of schedule, though, does go to VCU, number 104 versus number 176. Although they played a very weak non-conference schedule, they were number 345. So there's only about 18 teams played a worse schedule than they do. In A10 action, they're 10-6 versus the number 12 schedule. VCU 13-3 versus the number 7 schedule. When we look at common foes, George Mason 7-9 against the spread. They've shot 45.1% and allowed 43.7. VCU 8-6 ATS. They've gone 48.5% on offense and 43.1. So this line actually seems a little high to me. VCU currently 11.5 and a total of 147.5. George Mason, though, has faded down the stretch. They did win and cover against St. Bonaventure in their last game, but prior to that, they were on an 0-4 straight up and ATS slide. When they were playing well back in early January, they actually beat this VCU team. They were a 1.5-point home dog, and they ended up winning that game 86-80. On the road, the Patriots, however, just 2-7 against the spread and 1-5 the last 6 games, including 3 straight losses. Those 3 straight losses, guys, were up by a combined 51.5 points, and all 3 losses against the spread were by 15 plus. They're 0-4 ATS away off a team they beat as at home, and the last 3 losses by 45.5 points. They're a slow-paced team. They're number 342 in tempo, and now they're playing a fast team in VCU, who's number 43 on their tempo rank. VCU trailed St. Louis by 1 game in the A10, but they basically know they're not going to catch St. Louis. St. Louis is going to be a 28-point favorite tomorrow against Loyola. They're a full game behind St. Louis, and the Billikens did sweep them this year, so they are locked into number 2, which does concern me about laying the double digits. In the last month, they're 11-1 straight up in the last 12 games, but only 6-6 against the spread, and only 3-3 ATS at home. On the season, 7-9 against the spread at home, and they were on a 1-8 stretch at home against the spread, but they have played well of late, covering the last 3 by 11 points per game. Again, Rams fast-paced, George Mason slow-paced. When you have the better team at home, I think they can control the tempo. Again, that first score, 86-80, and that was at George Mason. VCU is only 3-9 over-under on the road, but at home, they're 10-6 over-under. That is 63% with 4 straight overs. And home-road dichotomy also applies to George Mason. They're 14-13 over-under on the season, but on the road, they're 5-1 over-under their last 6 away games. Give us George Mason and VCU over 147.5.
Over, says the pen, Ralph Michaels, WT.buzz/RM. Ralph, before we talk this next game, Clemson, UNC, what do you got rocking with for $5 Tuesday and beyond here today, Ralph?
Well, I had a 5% yesterday, and it was not only a loss, it was a loss on a favorite that lost outright in a smaller conference game. So I did go 1-1 in college basketball, won my other play, but still number 1 in college basketball for the season by a wide margin. College basketball runs 11-3, 79%, and 48-23, 68%. And my last 75 plays in all sports, 50-25, 67%. Get WagerTalk's #1 college basketball handicappers top play of the day, a 4-star best bet for just $5.
$5, WT.buzz /RM. Now, I'm not sure if Eric here was calling you Unk or if he was asking about UNC, but regardless, we're going to find out about it right here, Ralph. Clemson taking on UNC, and I'm seeing like checking the WagerTalk or the odds logic screen here for you. 3.5. We have some 4s out there, but the total 141.5, 142. How are you looking to bet this one? Another over? Or do we got a side play here, Ralph?
Well, I think we're going to look at a total, but we're going to take a little different approach on this game. Year to date, season to date, Clemson 21-8 versus the number 69 schedule. North Carolina 23-6 versus the 55 schedule. That says slightly to North Carolina. In the ACC, both teams exactly 11-5. Clemson's only played the number 17 schedule. North Carolina, the number 11, another edge to North Carolina. Conference offense and defense rankings. North Carolina 3-10, Clemson 12-3. So all these things say little leans to North Carolina at home. So this is a fair number. Against common foes, Clemson has shot 45.7% and allowed 43.1. So they are plus 2.6. North Carolina 47.7 and 41.5. That makes them plus 2.6. Of course, when we talk about North Carolina, we're looking at a team that has played several games now without Caleb Wilson. I will tell you what, I read about him this morning. The cast is off. He has not practiced 5-on-5 yet, but he is dribbling and shooting. So they were not sure if he was even going to be able to come back this season. They're saying there's a chance he's back for Duke on Saturday. If not, he certainly should be back for the ACC championship. So that does change the dynamic of the North Carolina Tar Heels. He got hurt in the Miami of Florida game, and since that time, they shot 46.7% the first game after losing him. Second game, they shot 31.7%. In the last 5 games with Wilson prior to those 2 games, they did not reach 50%. So they went 7 straight games without shooting 50%. They lose Wilson, and in their last 3 games, they've shot 51.9, 53.6, and 55.8%. What does that tell you? Do not overreact to injuries, even if they're quality players, when you have a team like North Carolina that has a lot of depth. North Carolina is off a non-covering win against Virginia Tech, but at home on the season, they are 11-6 against the spread with 3 straight ATS wins prior to the Hokies. This is the only meeting between these 2 teams this year, and it is the lowest total North Carolina has played to this season. And with a low total, they are 3-1 against the spread at home, and they're 5-0 over under. Clemson's D, the first 29 games, allowed 41.4% shooting, and nobody reached 50%. And only 4 teams, their first 29 games, even shot 44% or better. That's 4 teams in 29 games. In their last 3 games, they've allowed 3 foes to shoot 50%, and they've allowed 48.7% in that 5-game span. Boy, it's hot versus cold. Clemson opponents, 4-1 team total over their last 5. As a small dog or a favorite, North Carolina 9-2 over under, 9-2 team total over under. At home, North Carolina started the season 3-7 over under. Since January 1st, 5-2 over under at home. And as a home favorite of less than 12, 5-1 over under, and a 6-0 team total to the over. You guys know what it's going to be. North Carolina team total over 73.5. Let's try to get to 7-0 the last 3 appearances on the show.
Let's keep the streak going, Ralph. Great stuff there. Again, guys, you can check out his play, $5 Tuesday right now, WT.buzz/RM is where you can find it. Ralph, before we turn you loose, before we were talking on the show here, you were mentioning that, heading into this part of the year with these conference tournaments, there's a chance to maybe look at how some of these teams have faced off, look at some historical trends, and how you can kind of use that here as a starting point for some of your handicaps. So anything for you, Ralph, standing out, any trends that you wanted to drop on here for the folks for some college basketball action?
I'll clearly have some more March Madness and conference tournament stuff next week. The thing to remember is this, guys. you have to treat this week of conference tournaments entirely different than next week's. Almost every tournament this week, except maybe the WCC, and maybe there's one person I'm not thinking about. Likely only the conference tournament winner is going to get a ticket to March Madness. Next season, there's a lot of teams that are AP top 10 whose goals are to win the national championship. They don't want to play 5 straight games of Big 10 opponents or Big 12 opponents or SECs. They don't mind losing a game in the conference tournament because their goals are higher. So again, each of these 2 weeks are different. But the number one thing when I ask people, if you're going into a conference tournament, who has the edge? A team that's won at least their last 2 games or a team that's lost their last 2 games when they face each other? I think these might surprise you. Here's some conference tournament TNA. When a team has won at least 2 straight games facing an opponent in the conference tournaments that's lost at least 2, they are 98 and 136, 41.9% against the spread. That means fade the team on the win streak, play the team on the losing streak. There's only one team that applies tonight. That is the fade Lafayette against Holy Cross. If they're playing with less than 3 days rest, that number goes to 40 and 81, 33.1%. Lafayette also applies to fade Lafayette and play Holy Cross. If there's a total of under 156, it goes to 29.6%. And if that team won the last meeting, we go to 19 and 53, 26.4%. So that's how I break down my trends. You start with a trend, you look for a subset, you look for another subset, you look for a significant other subset. They all make sense to me. Fade Lafayette, play Holy Cross tonight, plus the 4.5 for our TNA trend of the day.
Wow, I love that, Ralph. Great breakdown there. A little Patriot League thoughts there for you folks. Ralph, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for dropping the knowledge, and we'll see you next week. Best of luck. Let's get that 7-0, brother. Appreciate it.
My apologies, Andy. I won't bring the wrong pen again.
That's better. Much, much better.
Andy's been pen tracking. Thanks, Ralph. Appreciate you, buddy. Ralph Michaels, WT.buzz/RN last time there for you folks. All right, Andy. You made it, buddy. You made it to the end of the show. You only have one more duty, and that is give these folks all around the world. Folks, drop in the comments below. Andy, a warrior for you here. A man had to change the lighting to make sure he could do the show. Say thanks, Andy. We appreciate you, and we love it. So, Andy, you'll be done. Just tell us how we're betting some of these games and all around the world.
All right, let's take a streak that is unsustainable, and we'll go with Charlie McAvoy under 0.5 points. Just him not to have a point. He has a 0.9 straight games from the pre-All-Star break to now. His longest streak of the season before this was 5. No points last 2 games against this team. Previous game this season, the score was 1-0. So I'm going to go under on Charlie McAvoy on his points. Pistons, Cavs, Duncan Robinson. I think we go under 2.5 made threes. He's been in a shooting slump the last couple games. I do worry that Duncan Robinson normally doesn't go under this total 3 games in a row, but he just played Cleveland a few days ago, and I watched that game. Cleveland did a fantastic job chasing him around, making sure all of his threes were contested. They want to try and get him, they said on the broadcast, I want to get him 7, 8, 9, 10 3-point attempts, and he went 2 of 8 against Cleveland, but the very next game, 0 for 4 against Orlando. So I'm not in a rush to bet Duncan Robinson over. I could be wrong on this one, but I think he might be in a slump against a tough defensive opponent. And then this is the one that just keeps hitting after the All-Star break. Nick Claxton over 11.5 points. Over in all 4 games since the break, he's making 5 baskets per game. He's adding a couple free throws. He can hit a 3, and he had 16 points against Miami back in December. So those are your free plays for all around the world. We're going to be recording the golf show immediately after this. So myself, Dan, and Jan will be breaking down the incredible Arnold Palmer Invitational. All the big names are going to be playing. We get the return of Justin Thomas. I saw somebody, Jason said, You're going to be fading Justin Thomas. I will as well. I've got a different matchup on one of my books I'm looking at. So, yeah, there's a lot of good betting opportunities. When all these big names come here on a course that we know very well, that they haven't changed a whole lot, it's going to be a really, really good opportunity. So that's going to do it for us today. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Tell us what your best bet is. Dan, let's go at 3 o'clock this afternoon Eastern. Let's get UMass. How is it pronounced? Lowell?
Lowell.
Not Lowell.
The way that I said it was not right. That's all I know, Andy. UMass Lowell is how I would say it. Lowell. Let's just make sure it's UMass cover. Let's just change the last name.
The UMass Lowell. UMass plus the points.
UMass River cover. Yes, the UMass River cover.
It's the area of the country where they pronounce my wife's name Teresa.
Oh yeah.
It's like her name ends in an A, not an ER. There's no Teresa.
Yeah, well, don't tell them that. Don't tell them that, Andy.
Great food, but yeah, my wife's name is not Teresa. So, all right, thanks, guys. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Good luck on your bets. Grab all those $5 plays that you feel comfortable with. Ours is a 4% best bet in NBA, and I just love it. But try out as many handicappers as you want. Bet responsibly. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.